How's that? Let's see.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Do you see me?
We
I
see
see
you.
you and I hear you.
We hear you as well.
Yep.
You
Now
can
it's a
turn.
party.
Wow, this is working pretty well. Now we just need Mikey.
Okay.
I spoke to him just a minute
start-
ago.
You can't see that I'm wearing sweatpants. Hopefully.
I am too, to be honest.
You guys, wait a minute. I didn't get the memo, Aaron. We're supposed to wear pants? Got nothing on us. Just got a shirt.
So
You like
anyway,
you like
thank
the
you.
wired better, Leah,
Then what?
than just using the wireless ones?
Yeah. How come I don't use wireless? I mean, I look like I'm in the 1990s.
Because it's better for your audio. The wireless sucks on audio.
She says that.
Every
Right.
single person we've ever done it with, the audio sucks on wireless.
Say hi to Valerie, everybody.
Hi, Valerie.
Valerie.
Valerie is speaking the truth. She's right. She's
Yeah,
absolutely
Claire-
right.
Wireless.
Claire, of course, agrees with you.
Okay.
But guys,
And also has- and
I'm
also
not
has
even
wireless
using
headphones.
wireless. I'm just using the computer audio.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
look at
using
you,
the.
Lee.
Mike.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
You look like you just walked off the set of People Puzzler.
Thank you. I can't really see you guys without my glasses, so I'm assuming you're all beautiful inside and out. Thank you, Val.
Well,
Not
thank
the
you guys for all joining me on this. And thank you, Leah, for helping me out with this. We have had, depending on how you calculate, we've had about 50 people directly sign up, clicking the link saying they're specifically donating to join this event. We've had about another 50 who've donated at least $100 to the campaign.
Oh,
And
awesome.
So we could have as many as 100 people joining us on this tonight.
Oh,
but,
that's awesome. Okay.
yeah.
That's
no,
a lot of yard signs.
That's a lot of yard signs. So I don't know. Why don't I start out just by giving a little bit of an update on the campaign? That sound good, guys?
Sure.
So,
Yes.
Don't talk too long, Aaron. Just kidding.
I know. So, I have been knocking on doors of likely voters about 5 hours a day. About 8 miles and 5 hours a day is how long it takes to knock on about 100 doors. And,
Right.
In every single neighborhood of Clearwater that I go to, there's really two issues every single citizen cares about. And it's what are you going to do about Scientology and what are you going to do to protect our neighborhood? And in Clearwater, that doesn't mean protecting like in a policing way. It means to protect the neighborhoods from
Mhm.
the constant encroachment of, development, putting up $1 million condos, blocking the views of the homes of the people in the neighborhood,
Mhm.
things like that. So, and just working my ass off. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. I'm doing everything I can. If I lose this election, it will not be because I did not do everything humanly possible. So I'm just putting it all out there and making
Yeah.
sure I leave nothing undone and unsaid. And the voters will decide. And
Yes.
it's not a guaranteed thing, but
Right.
I'm doing absolutely everything that I can because it's up to the voters. But I want them to know what their options are, and it's not even close. Like it's either more of the same, the establishment afraid to do anything about Scientology, not looking out for the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Or it's the complete opposite,
Sorry, my dog has joined us.
Yeah. So that's my speech. Were you gonna say something?
No, I think it's wonderful, and you're right. I think if somebody's afraid to go up against something like Scientology, I think it also would seem, or I would hope it would seem problematic to the voters. That would imply that their representatives can be bought off, or they are scared to go up against some real opponents, which, when you're in public, doing this kind of work, public service, you have to be unafraid to go up against organizations and institutions that are bigger than you. And that's important. That's an important point, that if you are in business with people, you really are not serving the people. And so I think that's listen, if people vote for someone else, then they're basically saying they don't want much change. And, in that way, then this wasn't meant for you. And I am a firm believer of what is meant for you will be yours, and will, you will be put on the right path of your life when you're supposed to be on that path.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, are people like here?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
like,
there's,
should we
um,
be answering? Should we be
There's
answering?
69. There's
Listen.
69 people in the chat right now.
This
70.
is not. This is. I'm sure children are on. I don't think we need to talk like that, Mark. But shouldn't you be
From
acknowledging
all over
Aaron?
the place.
Aaron, I can't even see.
I get
Some,
it.
so they just said somebody's here from New Jersey, North
There you go.
Carolina,
Hi, guys.
Valley Forge, Pennsylvania,
Listen.
Ocala.
This is why, Claire, you should be in charge of things like that, because the men of the group here are not going to say hi to these people. So I didn't
Yes.
even know that they were, hello, everybody. And even with my glasses, I can't see a dang thing. Claire, lovely. Hi, everybody. I had no idea.
Yes.
Yeah, look at all
Tons
those
of
comments.
people are saying hi. Hi, Lily. Hi, Mike.
Oh, that's
It's
cute.
like the Fair Game podcast.
Oh,
you
that's cute.
I am a man
Lily.
and I am here.
Lily, Mikey,
Hi, Lily.
Aaron-y, Clary, Marky.
Marky Mark.
Marky Mark.
Guys, honestly, thank you for joining. This is lovely. All right, do we want to answer some questions or?
Sure, why
Okay.
not? All right, so people did submit questions in advance. I generally broke them. I said, put questions for Leah, for Mark, for Mike, and Claire. Since we're all on here together, maybe we just sort of tackle them. So here's one. Well, this was one for you, Leah. I'll just read it out. So, and I'm not sure if people want me to say their names. All right, I'm going to say this question came from Lori.
Just say the first name.
Lori. Okay, so it says, is it true that this person has family members who are Scientologists and are on OT7, but this person is not a Scientologist?
Okay.
She says, is it true that family members, even family members on OT7, cannot talk to each other about what they're learning or they're auditing as they do the bridge, let alone talk to me about it? When I ask them about it or how it changed their life, they can never really, put it into words or tell me anything.
Yeah, great question. No, we're not allowed to talk about it. We're told when you start the operating Thetan levels of Scientology, they're confidential. We all sign, what do they call waivers, Mike? That if we give up the secrets of these confidential levels in Scientology, that we're going to be fined something like $100,000. Is that right, Mike? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, and
They're actually NDAs, Lee.
Oh, okay.
Non-disclosure agreements.
Oh, okay. And so basically on OT7 and all the OT levels, the operating Thetan, which means you're operating as a spiritual being. They use the word Thetan as spirits. And you're operating as a Thetan. And basically what you have heard and going clear and seen on the internet of what these confidential materials are that you spend your whole life getting to and spending, $500,000 getting to, is that your body is composed of beings. So your thoughts and everything are of these beings that were the Xenu story. These beings came, they were put in volcanoes and blown up, and then all the spirits are now what we are all composed of. So our
Space
thoughts are not
cooties.
our thoughts. Yes, space, like you have, like my fingers or, just all composed of spiritual beings, my body, everything is just composed of. And on OT5, they basically tell you that you're curing yourself of any disease. So they'll say, like, find a Thetan being cancer, find a Thetan being high cholesterol. And then you're supposed to talk to this being and free them. So you believe that you're freeing yourself and curing yourself, which, Mike and I have said, this should be a concern, that they're basically practicing medicine without a license, promoting that people, and it's not it's faith-based because people have to pay for this. And so when you're doing the OT levels, you're basically freeing yourself from OT 1 to 8 of these. Well, there's a lot of fun to be had on OT 8 when you finally spend all of your money and all of your time inside. You find out in OT 8, like, just kidding. So you spend your Scientology career ridding yourself of this, and OT 7 specifically can go on for 10 or 15 years, where you're talking to these imaginary beings. So the reason why you can't talk about it is, one, because it's confidential, and you'll give somebody cancer if they're not set up properly to receive the secrets of the universe. And 2, I think they don't want people to know how crazy it is. And 3, you get to say it's more internal, my wins and my gains in Scientology. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, here we are all being horrible people in the world, and your Scientology family is saying, hey, when are the changes going to happen? And they're like, it's more internal. So it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Anything to add to that, guys?
But I would also say,
Yeah. Go
Go ahead,
Claire.
Mike. Okay. The only other comment I was going to add, it's actually a crime in Scientology that's referred to as coffee shop auditing, to talk about and compare notes with other Scientologists about your auditing or what you're doing in session. You're forbidden to talk about it, and there are grave consequences if you do.
Correct.
right.
Mikey?
And so what you hear from Scientologists, even amongst themselves, is these incredible, oh, I'm doing so great. Everything is just amazing. This is the greatest thing ever. It's incredible. Wait until you get here to experience the incredible gains that I have had. And that's about the extent of what they will talk about.
Yeah, you're
No
not
specifics.
even, by the way,
Never.
you're not even allowed to talk about the problems that you're having in your life as a Scientologist. Like, I'm not allowed to go to Claire as my friend and go, I'm having some issues in my marriage, or I'm having issues with my mom. Like, she'd be like, okay. Like, we're not even allowed to talk to each other about our everyday problems. We get in trouble for that even. So you're not allowed
Sea
to.
Org, and in the Sea Org, it's called case on post. You're not allowed to talk about your personal issues when you're at work, which is all day, every day.
Yeah, right.
And all night.
Yeah.
And all night.
Yeah.
But you did answer a question, Leah. I didn't know that thing about the space cooties being different things. I think I might have a space cootie that likes Milky Way darks.
Yes.
I think that's what my problem is.
And by the way, these entities are called body thetans and clusters. So they're referred to as BTs and clusters. So like, if you're in session with a Scientology auditor, they'll, like, and I say, like, I'm upset today, with my mother, she blah, and they're like, well, once you get to the OT levels, you never get to talk about yourself anymore. They're like, locate a BT or a cluster like that has this upset, and so it was like, I guess I'm not upset, I guess it's this.
Oh my goodness.
That's
gotta be so frustrating.
I made a joke once to my mother, and I got she wrote a report on me, because I was like, I don't think my BTs or clusters like you. It actually wasn't me who treated you so badly as a child. I was like, my BTs and clusters just had an issue with you.
And then she wrote a report on you because you talked about BTs and clusters?
Yeah, so did Belinda Brownstone, another one of my favorites. Yeah, because I was like, anyway, anything people do we need to answer? I don't want to ignore people who are nice enough to come.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
All right, Claire, you'll keep an eye out.
Yes, Mark, somebody commented that that's a tasty thetan you have right there.
Yes, and they also said that their space cooties, like me, their space cooties are clustered around the midsection. So
now you joke, but Scientologists do believe that. They believe, and on a serious note, the fact that they truly believe that they are curing themselves on OT5 is not funny, because as we all know, Scientologists don't believe in doctors anyway, because of the psychological warfare that Scientologists engaged in from day one, from Dianetics, about the medical industry, the mental health. So no Scientologists in general grow up not believing in real mental health care and medical care. I mean, they might go to a doctor if the vitamins didn't work, but
And if it's a
sometimes-
Scientology doctor.
which have both since passed away, the two that
Yes.
You know,
Dr.
we're-
Dank
Yeah.
and
Shields.
Megan
Price?
Shields.
Yeah.
Megan
he
Shields.
passed away?
No,
Yes.
Megan Shields.
Oh.
Stephen Price
No,
did
no,
too?
not
No.
Price.
No.
No.
Megan
No.
and Jean Dink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My dog's here.
Hi, dog.
So
Good
look,
boy,
yeah,
Jeff,
but-
no doubt. Get him.
To add a comment on the cancer note, though, it's really a tragedy to
Sorry,
me how
guys.
many staff we knew at the headquarters in California that passed away from cancer simply because it was never treated or detected until it was already stage 4. I mean,
Mhm.
between Mark and I, we could probably easily list 30 to 40 people in
Yeah.
in like 12 years that died from cancer. Not
It's usually like 1 or 2 a year.
yeah.
Yep.
It's
And by
it's
the
terrible.
time and the complaints, if you have cancer, it's like my body's sore, I feel tired and lethargic, I'm in pain. Well, that's every day for every person. So you're not going to know if you have cancer or not. You're just going to feel like
Mark,
you always.
don't like that doesn't matter, because it wouldn't matter anyway, because if you were
I know.
having real symptoms, I know, I just want us to be careful about like us joking together because
Oh,
sometimes
I'm not joking.
I
I'm
never
fucking
want to
serious.
promote anything about Scientology that would promote that they are caring individuals and that they
Yes.
they somehow wouldn't know that something's a problem. It wouldn't matter if a person's sick. I mean, Mike and I were talking about this the other day on the podcast. I mean, if I and you guys too, you all know this, Aaron, you were raised when you got a cold or sick, you were sent to the department that hands out punishments. And we weren't told go home, get some rest, or maybe you should go see a doctor. It was, what are you doing that we don't know about? And you're sick because you're looking at something on the internet, talking to somebody who's anti-Scientology. And what did you do? And you're punished for being sick in Scientology.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
That's
So
right.
at
Yeah,
the base, if people were sick, they would usually try to hide it or
Yeah.
try to mask it so they wouldn't get in trouble. Or
Yeah.
if, like in my case, you could drive. If you're sick, then you can't drive anymore. So
Mhm.
you would just you would never say anything. So you wouldn't be, you wouldn't have to get into all the nonsense.
Right.
a lot of this stuff, like the sickness stuff that you're talking about, and being treated like it's you've literally done something wrong. It doesn't. Sometimes it takes. Well, for me, I'll speak for myself. Having my own children to realize how absolutely crazy and
Insane,
destructive
that-
it is. Like, if I've
exactly.
got my daughter, she's home from school, she's got a fever, she's sleeping. I remember being in that exact scenario,
Mhm.
except being in Scientology and having the quote unquote medical liaison officer coming in and saying, no, you've got to get up and clean this place. You have to be productive. It's like,
Mhm.
well, you're not even allowed to convalesce. You're not even allowed to just get better. That's considered, you're being a criminal for not producing. I mean,
And we're talking about children. We're talking. I
talking
mean,
about children.
my mother used to come into my room and go get up and go to the organization and go get handled. Because you're sick. It's not okay that you're sick. Like that's. And by the way, guys, like when we're talking about these things, a lot of you already know this. Hopefully this is new information. But again, which is why it's so important that people who are willing to go up against Scientology should be considered, because if they're willing to go up against Scientology like Aaron is, he's going to fight for you first as far as the community is concerned. And these things should be alarming to hear. You do not want this in your community. And because they are so covert in how they even landed in Clearwater under lies and deception. And you could see that on our show, that episode. Mike, what was the project called? Project Clearwater?
Normandy.
Project Normandy, right. And so Scientology's goal, and they're pretty much achieving it at this point because nobody in Clearwater is doing a damn thing about it, is to make Clearwater the first Scientology city.
Yep.
And
They
if that's
announced
what you
that
want,
in-
and if that's what
in-
you want, go ahead, Mikey.
I was just going to say, yeah, they announced that very, very publicly in their
Mhm.
magazine.
Yeah.
But I was actually going to make a point earlier that I think is important in this context.
Mhm.
The majority, this is happening big time in Clearwater.
I know.
The majority of Scientologists in Clearwater are Sea Org members.
Mhm.
They are kept in the confines of the organization and the buildings, and the treatment of Sea Org members is even worse than the treatment of the people that we're talking about who
Mhm.
come and go and are, quote, Scientology parishioners.
Right.
Sea Org members are brutalized day in and day out. If they get sick, just like Mark and Claire and Aaron will tell you, it is not, well, let's go recuperate and get you some medical treatment. It is if you've got a temperature, so therefore you could contaminate other people, you'll be stuck in a dirty room and
Mhm.
not allowed out until you don't have a temperature. If you don't, you will be sent to do manual labor.
Mhm.
You will be punished
Yeah.
for being a, quote, downstat
Yeah.
who is sick, and therefore you not only don't get any treatment because there's no money to send anybody to a doctor ever allocated, you are punished directly for having gotten ill. So
Yeah.
this is the people who are in Clearwater. I mean,
Right.
a lot of them can't vote because they're foreigners here on illegal visas,
Mm-hmm.
but nevertheless, those people deserve to be afforded the human rights that normal people would have, and
Yeah.
they are not being afforded those human rights. And it is happening right in Clearwater.
Correct.
More in Clearwater than any other location on earth.
And let's not forget another thing. You would need to look no further of how Scientology treats its parishioners and its staff. Just look up the Lisa McPherson story, and nothing's changed.
True. Absolutely true. Nothing has changed except for one thing.
Yeah.
Now they are forbidden to have anybody held on an introspection rundown in the Fort Harrison.
In the Fort Harrison. Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
they can move them off to another
They'll
property
send them
somewhere
up
else.
Which they often do,
Arkansas
you know.
or West
Yeah.
Do you
Virginia,
know how
but
many Sea Org members that I realized, like I was told throughout my Scientology career, I'm like, hey, where's such and such? Oh, she's been sent to a special mission, or she's up line, you know, Epic Gold and Golden Era Productions. You know, you can't know where that is and all the secrecy. You know, come to find out the person was sick and they sent them to a different country so that people like me wouldn't see them and go, well, wait a minute. You know, Scientology promotes that we don't get sick. I mean, Tom Cruise said he hasn't had a cold since he's been a Scientologist. So, and this is all throughout the doctrine that
broken a couple
basically,
of legs and shit, but-
Just for the record, he has actually, but just saying.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, the heartlessness.
we
I
know.
mean, it was a handful of years ago. A staff member from the Philadelphia org, an elderly guy who'd been working for Scientology for 30 years, came to Flag to get some advanced level auditing. And while he was at the Sandcastle building, which the people in Clearwater will know as being on Osceola and Drew, while he was in reception, he had a stroke and fell over and hit his head. They picked him up, carried him out to a public bench on the sidewalk before calling the hospital so that Scientology wouldn't be held liable for somebody having an accident like that on their
oh
property.
yeah, that story's over and over again. All right, any more questions? Because I don't want to take up everybody's time.
Yeah, no, here's kind of a fun one, depending on how
Yeah.
you look at it. This is from Lillian. It says, I listened to the Fair Game podcast,
Thank you.
and in one of the episodes, Leah mentioned that she wrote a knowledge report on her husband.
Yeah.
Did he ever write any knowledge reports on her?
No, but he could have. I mean, he should have, by the way. But no, Angela never really quite got with the Scientology program. You know, one of the reasons why, you know, Angela was a prospect for me because he wasn't a Scientologist, which was against everything that I was taught and everything that my mother would want, right? Like marry a Scientologist. So although he was kind of like flirting with Scientology, he was never quite in. And so he wasn't really good at reports, which is a requirement of all Scientologists, is to write each other up on these knowledge, called knowledge reports. It's part of our duty as Scientologists to tell on each other. But I wrote everybody up. I wrote Mike up.
Never,
Just
Aaron, I
Leah-
never
Leah-
wrote one
Leah,
report on
thank you.
Claire. Never one.
But
And not because you,
but
because
I
you
knew you
weren't
were gonna
as
say that.
dedicated and loyal as Claire was. I mean, David Miscavige was right when he suggested that Claire divorce you because you weren't up to par.
Yeah.
Mark was always a rebel. But
I'm
thank
kidding.
you, Leah, for
Mark, I'm
for
kidding.
having-
Yeah, I
having
love
me
you as
not
a
be the
couple.
only-
No. I love you as a couple, and I love that you stayed together, and I love that you have beautiful children, and the same with you, Aaron, and your wife, and and Mike. I just, it's such a, we often talk about, because that is part of what we do, is exposing Scientology. We forget sometimes to say that we are all success stories. Not to say that if you decide to leave Mark, Claire, that I would see you as a failure, because I believe things sometimes have to end for the betterment of each other's lives. So I'm not promoting that either. All right, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Sorry, Mike.
oh my God.
I'm just saying, if Christy ever wanted to leave you, I wouldn't be like. Kidding.
Okay, but for the record,
Yeah.
Claire did write a ton of reports on Mark, right?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well,
No,
and guess what?
no.
I wrote tons of reports on my husband, and I wrote tons of reports on my mother.
May we
My
please
mother.
quantify a ton? Maybe 3
You
or
don't
4.
need to explain yourself, Claire.
Only 3 or 4 of
Only
those are
because-
amateur numbers.
And even those, it was a means to get people off my back who were trying to force me to sign divorce papers. So to
Right.
me, sue me, I thought it was the lesser evil to just write a damn
To
PR.
stay married. So you took one for the team. You know what, guys? I
did.
think she should be validated.
All right. I got the next question.
I mean, let's not forget that Dave Miscavige said to you, Claire, to divorce Mark, and you wouldn't.
Many
Yeah.
times.
So
Many times.
this story is
But not
done, guys. As
over
much as
5
you want
years.
to
5 years.
joke Claire stayed by his side.
Yes.
That's true.
Thank you, Leah.
I'll give her that.
I-
I'll give her that.
Good.
All right, so this next
Hallelujah.
question I think is interesting because it can be answered from the viewpoint of having been a public and a staff member and a Sea Org member. Here's what the question is. As a former public Scientologist, how aware would you have been of events that were objective proof that Scientology isn't as large or as influential as it claims? And then it uses like this election as an example. So like if Aaron were to win the election, would there be any knowledge on behalf of the public as to how both Mark Bunker and Aaron could win a council election in Miscavige's own backyard? How would Scientology explain this to its members? Mike, do you want to take a shot at that?
Geez, that's a long question.
But you
How
get
would
the concept,
Scientology
right?
explain it to its members? It would like basically go, well, the SPs are out there and they're supported by Big Pharma, who has
Yes.
shitloads of money, and the St. Pete Times, who are SPs, have supported these people, and they are tricking the populace into believing that they're actually good people and they're really horrible, nasty, perverted criminals who shouldn't be supported by anyone, but that's the society we live in. So you got to give us more money so that we can deal with all the problems in society. And, don't worry about these guys. They're incapable of completing a cycle of action, which is one of the attributes that Hubbard says a suppressive person has. So they will never get anything actually done. Nothing will really change. We will still continue to control Clearwater. So don't worry
Carry
about
on.
it. Pull out your
Yeah.
checkbook and
Yeah.
start writing.
And do more,
And-
this is clear that we need to do more work, and we need to just keep, stay the course. And the answer to the other one, I think, is like, of course we had available to us information, but if you growing up in a brainwashed cult, you're not actively looking for these numbers because you don't want to. You're like, why would I look at things that are attacking my church? Why would I look at things that are, this is Big Pharma, this is the suppressive people of the world? So of course they're going to say that's not true. But then something just clicks in your mind one day, and you're like out on the street, and you're like, there's no Scientologist, here, and Scientologists don't own Starbucks, and Scientologists don't own Sharpie and Bic, and wait a minute. If they're so amazing, like where are all these their contributions to the world, to our everyday living? And I'm not meeting a whole lot of Scientologists in the field that I'm in, or in the medical field, or like I'm just not seeing but it just something clicks, right? Where you start to look, but you're not thinking those things until the thing clicks. Does that
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Aaron,
unfortunately, you don't really have the awakening until you awaken.
Have the
yourself.
awakening, right? Correct. Go ahead, Claire, what were you gonna say?
Aaron, somebody asked how many seats there are on the city council. The answer to that is 5.
There are 5 seats on the city council, 3 of which are currently held by what I would characterize as the establishment, the good old boys who would rather keep the status quo. They may privately dislike Scientology, but they have been compromised through relationships and connections and business relationships and lobbyists and friends who make money off of Scientology, friends who work for Scientology. They would just rather everyone shut up about Scientology.
Sure.
So, if I were to win this seat, the council would no longer be under the control of the establishment. That is something I can say definitively. Absolutely.
Would be amazing. And speaking of cancer, correct me if I'm wrong, but Scientology is the cancer of Clearwater, right? It's completely, cancer is a cell that will only grow itself. They're never going to do anything for the benefit of Clearwater as the city of Clearwater. They will only protect their interests ever.
Claire, I think they've handed out bottles of water, a few bottles of water here and there.
I never got a bottle of water, Leah.
Well, not you. Not you.
So here's one. This is from Michelle. Leah, how did you personally handle and overcome the daily stress of being a target of such a smear campaign early on?
How did I handle it? I handled it through having these guys as a support system, and a handful of others, and strengthening my relationships outside of Scientology, therapy, and feeling what I was feeling. They're still doing these things. They've upped their game in a way. And I cry. I mean, I let myself feel those emotions. I mean, when I see these videos, I'm not going to lie to you, they don't not affect me, but they should affect me. You see, we were all raised to not feel our feelings. We were all raised to accept abuse at a very young age, and to be abusive at a young age. And we were cut off from what we're supposed to learn growing up, which is you're supposed to react to things, right? That's what saves you in situations. And we were taught to squash those feelings and not react to being touched inappropriately, talked to inappropriately, and abused mentally and physically. We were taught to not react. And if we reacted to those things, there was something wrong with us. As a matter of fact, in Dianetics, that's the first book that everybody has to read. It says that a 7-year-old girl should not be reacting to being passionately kissed by a grown person. And that if she is, she's not, there's something not computing, like she's not computing something. And that what she's not computing is what Scientology teaches, which is you are not a child. You are actually just a thetan in a little body. You're an old thetan. And so again, I go over these concepts again, a lot of you know this, just to reiterate what we all, or why we are all fighting, why it's important to us that Scientology not continue to take over our communities and infiltrate themselves into the education system, into real churches, allying themselves with real organizations. As we know, Mike's daughter, who's a Sea Org member first, and his ex-wife have been running a campaign, which I think is disgusting and vile, to be pretending to be a victim of abuse when clearly She was not, and they were not. And this has been proven by police documents. We have put this up on the website many times. And yet Scientology has no problem showing up to events meant for real victims of abuse, of rape, of horrible and horrific things. And there they are on stage with the mayor of Los Angeles, and the organization that is helping real victims were notified. And what did they do? I mean, they were sent a packet of proof. These people are pretending to be victims, and they said, we don't want to be involved. And it's not that kind of attitude that allows abusive organizations like Scientology and institutions and people in general to get away with this kind of behavior, because they're protecting the abuser and not the victims. And I don't even know what the question was, but my point is, in closing, I should know what the question is.
It was how you personally handled and overcame the day-to-day stress of being the target of a smear campaign.
Therapy. But oh yes, and exactly. And that no. But that is my point, is that it I don't want anybody to feel shame, and in that when you do feel emotions, it's okay. It's okay for me to cry and be upset about my former friends or my father doing a video, or for Mike to feel completely betrayed and heartbroken over his Sea Org children, Benjamin Rinder and Taryn Tausch and Kathy Bernardini, whatever the hell her name is. Doing these things, it does hurt, regardless of how wrong and disgusting it still hurts that, Claire hasn't, your family hasn't seen or met their grandchildren. These are upstanding Scientologists, who are disconnecting from their own children and their own mothers and fathers for a horrible and toxic cult.
Yep, and my parents live in Clearwater, by the way.
Right,
Yeah.
and they're celebrated Scientologists and Sea Org members running around the world, and they're awful people. They're what they stand for is anti-family. What they stand for is anti-anything good.
Yes. Any family member that will be a puppet for OSA and put up a hate video about their own, daughters,
Yes,
brothers, sisters. I mean, that just shows you the level of evil that is Scientology. It's
Agreed.
family, destroying family bonds, as we've talked about many, many times.
right.
And I just wanted to make a sort of an overall point, which I think
Sure.
is very relevant to something that Aaron said before about why politicians and others back away from taking on Scientology.
Yeah.
There isn't a person on earth who doesn't have things that they do not want to have said about them. There isn't a person on earth who doesn't have relationships with people who will say nasty things about them. There isn't a person on earth who doesn't have something that is what in Scientology is called a button for them.
Mhm.
And Scientology makes a habit and a practice and is very good at taking those things to scare people away from exposing what's really going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes some courage to
Yeah.
stand up and say, you know what, say what you want about me, pull out my daughter, pull out my father, get these old reports, get people to come on and say terrible things about how rotten I am. Nobody likes that. And you're
Yeah.
right, Leah. It does have an impact and it's unpleasant. But on the other hand, I know from having been on the other side of this equation that that is the exact intent of those
Well,
statements.
I don't 100% agree with you, Mike. I think the intent is what you said in the beginning, right? And why we support people who are willing to go up against $3 billion business such as Scientology, because I think the intent is to scare people from speaking out and doing this,
Yeah.
or running.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
No. But the hurt part, that's not the intent. They hope that they hurt me enough that I'm going to stop, but that's never going to happen. So
I think
the intent-
Mike is talking about the people elected to the council in Clearwater.
Yeah.
Those people,
Mhm.
if they went up against Scientology,
Yeah.
then they'd air out their dirty laundry.
Well, that's going to happen
And
if
they don't
you're,
have a
if you're,
dog in the
but
fight.
that's going to
They're like,
happen if
"Hey,
you're in the
whoa."
public eye anyway. So they should be used to that anyway. So to use that as an excuse to not do what you're supposed to be doing, you know, is again, just, you know, the pussy way out. But, you know, like Mike said, everybody has something, right? We all have something. We all have something that we're ashamed of or wish, but, you know, we kind of have to accept the fact that we're all human and we're going to make mistakes. And so to me, you know, I don't care what Scientology has on me or is going to say about me, you know, I don't actually feel like it's going to affect me in a way that's going to actually destroy my life. That's what I mean. It doesn't,
Exactly.
it doesn't feel good, but I'm willing to take my punches, you know?
Yes, of course. And
yeah.
we know you are, Leah, and so is Mark.
Same
and
with
so
everybody,
is Claire,
yeah.
and so is Aaron, and a lot of other people. But that was sort of where I was getting to. At this point, because people have stood up and said, you know what? Say what you want, do what you want. We're not stopping.
Yeah.
The credibility that Scientology has on any of the statements they make about anybody they don't like has reduced. I mean, it was never that great. Now it's zero.
Right.
Now, the vast majority of people look at a statement that is sourced to Scientology and go, oh, that's a lie. We know it's a lie. We don't even know what it is. We don't even know anything about it. We just know it's a lie because it is pattern and practice of the Fair Game campaign of how you destroy enemies of Scientology. And I wish that the elected officials of Clearwater would actually come to that realization themselves, because it's a very important thing. This is a mind game that Scientology plays. It is a game of intimidation to get you to stay quiet about what they're doing. And the minute you say, I don't give a shit what you're going to do or say about me, I'm going to say the truth anyway, they lose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Any more questions? Claire, are you watching the comments? I just want to make sure that we're not. Okay.
Yes, Mike, somebody was, Daniel was mentioned the recording of when you were attacked in the parking lot in Clearwater with your family members there. And a lot of people were commenting that they hadn't heard that audio. And we're asking for that link.
It's on my blog. You can, I think that the article is called Miscavitch Meltdown or something like that. It's also on the Confront and Shatter blog that is done by this woman called Stephanie Hutchison, who is a wonderful person, never a Scientologist, who has taken upon herself to address the lies of Scientology. And
she's a Scientology fact checker.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect, Mark. And also Jeffrey Augustine at the Scientology Money Project has also done extensive, and guys, please listen to the audio, look at the police reports, look at what Taryn is doing and Kathy, who are, you know, upstanding and rewarded and awarded Scientologists and SEWARG members are doing. I mean, it's so anyway.
And they show their true colors on that.
Oh my God. And Jenny Linson, where, you know, I mean, it's just, anyway, yes, please, guys, look up these links.
You guys think Leah has a mouth on her? Just wait till you see these.
The executive strata of Scientology at work. Look up Jenny and the other one. What's the other?
Angie.
Angie.
The one up at Gold. She's another prize. Kathy what?
Kathy
Hawkins,
Fraser.
Kathy Fraser.
Another one. These are the upper management of Scientology. It gives you a glimpse of what is Scientology day in and day out. The way they talk to Marty Rathbun in this, the way they talk to Mike in this, and screaming and carrying on. And by the way, when this audio was being shot, you were being interviewed for the BBC, John Sweeney, which is another thing that people should see. And another thing that people should see is Anderson Cooper's 5-part series on Scientology.
History
what was that?
Of Violence.
Yes, History of Violence. I mean, it's just you know, it's exhausting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one. It's a bit of
Yeah.
a light one, and maybe we can end off on this if we. This might be one that we all take a crack at answering. But
Okay.
Leah, what are you most proud of related to your choice to speak out against abuse in Scientology?
Families connecting, people leaving and starting to live their life. You know, seeing all of you. I mean, I'm not a result. You know, this is not a result of me, but we have a lot of these behind the scenes of people leaving and taking back their lives. And, you know, just every day when I hear or I see a post of you guys with your kids, I'm like, how lucky you guys are. You got a second chance at living your lives because you were in the Sea Org, you know, I wasn't. And those are moments that just make me so happy, you know, to hear I'm going to pick up Jack from soccer, you know, and I'm like, you know, people take that for granted, Mike. You were never able to raise your own kids in the Sea Org, and to see, you know, what Claire has been through and Mark, and that they have a beautiful family now, and just like these things and the things that we don't talk about that people ask us not to, but seeing people reconnect with their family and live their lives, I think has been our proudest moments, all of us collectively, because I believe we are all in this together. So those of you who are out there who support any of us, you support one of us, you support all of us. And that's the way this group thinks.
That's a great answer. By the way, that question is from Natalie Kasulis, who's been a great help with the campaign, and she's in the chat.
Thank you, Natalie.
Mike, I know Leah's answer is pretty broad and applicable, but any thoughts that you have on that one?
I would say exactly the same thing. What I'm most proud of is the people who reach out to me and say, you have no idea, you helped me.
Yes. And people outside of Scientology, Mike, you're right.
And yes, not
Those,
not
yes.
even just Scientology.
No, you're absolutely right, Mike. I forgot about you're
I
absolutely
was
right.
going to say the same thing. People write to
Yeah.
me and they say, I read your book and I was never in Scientology, but I was in another crazy
Or
controlling group.
even better yet, that like I was in an abusive relationship, or I was in a horrible,
Yes.
I wasn't happy at my job, and I took a chance. Whatever we inspire people to change, you know, for their betterment, for their family, for the people that they love, for their friends, you know, like this is what brings us joy. I mean, we were in Scientology because we wanted to help people. And, you know, here we are, as old as we are, you know, taking a shot at doing it for real now, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Claire, did you have anything on that, Claire? I didn't want to exclude you.
Well, no, thank you. I appreciate that. Being that I was born into Scientology, a huge piece for me was just overcoming the fear of the power I had granted Scientology. So when I started speaking out against Scientology, I realized the only power they had was the power I gave them,
Right.
and it was not theirs to have in the first place.
Yeah.
And really a huge part of what motivated me to start talking out was I recognized that fear in myself, and I had children, and I thought, over my dead body, do I want my kids to have the same fear?
Yeah.
I need to live by example and stand up to the bully, whatever the consequences are. I don't care. It's
Right.
the right thing to do. So,
Right.
and then subsequently, helping people through the Aftermath Foundation has been just incredibly gratifying. Like
Yeah.
Mark and I helped people before the foundation was formed, but now having it formalized and being able to help people get out from that world is just very, very gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for all of us. I think, you know, it's the work that we thought we were doing, we're doing now. And it is, you know, it's not completely, you know, selfless, right? We get something back from this, you know, we get to know that we've done something, and that fulfills us. You know, not everybody, you know, feels the need to help, and that's okay. But some of us do, and we hopefully are. And so, yeah. And thank you guys. I know I say this all the time, but, you know, thank you for supporting people you don't know, and for stories that you don't know, and for things you don't really need to care about. I mean, it means a lot to us that you
It
do.
does.
And, you know, to help anybody, you know, make a difference. Like, you know, here we're, you know, trying to do something for Clearwater, you know, it's like, you know, to help Aaron by getting out there and telling people to vote, and, you know, people who maybe wouldn't, who just support him, would support us, and support, would greatly
support all
reduce
those
the
people-
harm. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
support all those people, Leah, that don't even know right now that there are people out there who care about them.
Yeah,
Those
Yes.
people who are stuck inside Scientology, who
yeah,
believe that the outside world
hates
is
them and is
the
bad. Yeah.
evil,
Mhm,
horrible world that
mhm.
they couldn't survive in, and yet there are people out here who have their best interests at heart. I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about all the people that are on this call,
Mike,
and all the people that
Mike.
support the Aftermath Foundation.
Can I
They don't
say
even-
something?
Yeah,
This is how, like, sick we are. Like, honestly, like, if Taryn came out after attacking you and saying horrible, we would help her.
That's
of
right.
course.
No questions asked. May I add one thing? Someone
We want
asked,
to help.
yes, we do. And we will forgive, but stop committing crimes. Somebody asked, someone asked, what if somebody wanted to escape from the Hacienda Gardens right now in Clearwater? And I just wanted to say, the Aftermath Foundation has hundreds, if probably thousands of volunteers. We've had a volunteer pick someone up from a similar compound and get them the heck out of there.
Yeah, see,
That
now,
has
in
happened.
Clearwater, they're walking around the streets, right? And so I often say this, like, we don't want you attacking, yelling at people and carrying on. We want you to be kind to them.
Yes,
Like,
they
you're
need
only-
to
you're
know
only-
there are people that care for them
that
outside of
that will
world,
help them.
and that-
They're
yes.
told no one's going to help you. You're going to die homeless on the street. You know, like, you have no connection to any, like, a lot of them don't even know we left Scientology. I mean, if Shelley
Yeah.
Miscavige is alive, she doesn't even know we left.
Yeah.
Just that, you know, Florida is different from California. The base is here, where there is no option of them jumping over the fence anymore. There is no option of that. And the Riverside County Sheriff's Office doesn't really care. But in Clearwater, they are walking around the streets. They are going from point A to point B, sometimes freely. And if you ever encounter someone in a uniform from the Church of Scientology, you know, we ask that you give them an Aftermath card and say, you have a place to go.
Yep.
If you need help, you know, these are good people and they're willing to help you. If they go into a store, we want you to be nice to them so they realize, wait a minute, the outside world is not antagonistic to me. You know, you're dealing with somebody who has a frame of mind, like we all did, that the outside world means them harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even like to literally answer the question of what would happen in the Hacienda. I live 3 minutes from there, like, and we've done this. We would literally go and pick them up and take them somewhere safe and contact their family and get them a plane ticket to wherever they need to go and get them a place to live and get them transportation. And you know, if they needed if they didn't have their passport, we would take them to the authorities and, you know, the correct government office to report that and to get that resolved. Like, it's really not what we would do, it's what we wouldn't do, which is nothing. There is nothing we would not do to help somebody.
And it's not just and by the way, that's not just limited to Scientology. I mean, that's what the Aftermath Foundation is set up for, but I'm just saying, we as people, I mean, I made the point that Aaron, if you're not willing to go, I mean, if you found an organization that was hurting people, that just, you know, got a storefront in downtown Clearwater, and you're not willing to go up against them to clean up that area because you're scared that they're going to retaliate, then, you know, you shouldn't be in service. And so that's why, you know, to me, if you're willing to go up against this guy, you're willing to go up anything in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, John Mahaffey, what's the question that you have that you didn't get answered?
Yeah, John, what do you got? We'll answer it.
Yes, John, shoot.
A lot
We're all
of
listening now.
people
You
were
got our
asking
attention.
questions,
Like
thinking
what?
it was more going to be like about Clearwater and the campaign, and what else can they do in Clearwater? So I think some
but
people.
let me respond to that, because the fact is, this is a fundraiser for the campaign. This is not a political education session on how to reform Clearwater. And people donated to come to an event to, have some time and see Leah Remini live, and we're having a little hang session, but that doesn't mean we won't this is not a town hall event. This is a political campaign fundraiser, so we basically do whatever we want, and that's what this is for. But we're happy to answer questions. We're happy to answer questions.
But I was serious, like, what was the question that
he
didn't
just
get
wrote
answered?
it.
I was just curious.
He said, will the establishment, quote unquote, council members feel emboldened to speak up if Aaron is elected?
I'd say a 5% chance. It's one of these things. It's kind of like when people want to point out, like, when David Miscavige says how much he wants to help downtown Clearwater, the obvious answer is, if you wanted to do it so bad, you could have done it 40 years ago. It's kind of like, if the establishment wanted to do anything about Scientology, they could have done it any time in the last, it's been since the late 70s, early 80s, since Clearwater had any leadership willing to do anything that would piss off Scientology. Why should they start now? It's why I decided to run. I got sick and tired of trying to convince these people they should do anything differently, that I was like, screw it, you need to go. You need to be replaced by someone who doesn't need a pep talk on what they can do about.
They're like tumbleweeds. They're just going to blow whichever way the wind blows.
Yeah.
But Aaron, I slightly disagree with you, because I believe that that politicians will change based on what they see popular with people. And if you are able to get onto the city council, and you and Mark Bunker are now a little sort of block of 2 out of 5 who are not cowed by Scientology, then all it takes is for one person to decide, well, maybe it's my time to step up. And I don't think that that's such a leap. I don't think that it's such a leap. And as soon as you have 3, then you're going to get all 5, because then all of them are going to pile on, because they will see that this is now the winning strategy. And so I think that you're underplaying the significance of you joining the city council, because 2 out of 5 is different than 1. 2 out of 5 is very close to that tipping point, and I think that it will make a huge difference.
Okay, good,
I also think that that's a good point, which is, if there's 2 people that aren't afraid to say the truth, which is Scientology is a cancer to Clearwater, then why don't those other 3s do that? Like, if it's the thing about, well, they're worried what they're going to say about them in their personal life. Well, okay. But then also, hey, you knew all along this wasn't good. So it does kind of put some pressure on those other guys to either.
Yeah, but what's so bad that you need to worry about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're all human. You know what I mean? Like,
it gets to the point where, hey, you guys got to get with the program here. And if you don't, we know it's one of these other reasons, which is really not really that valid of a reason. So it kind of takes the excuse out of it. But you're right.
And when you see other people stand up and do what's right,
yes, other people follow.
It motivates you to also do the same thing. So,
other questions, Claire?
Let's see here. I fell behind. I apologize, Leah.
I just don't want people to be upset that they feel like they didn't get the question answered, or you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that's all right.
No,
that's all right. No, we promoted this as basically a 1 hour event. And,
no, I know, but at the same time, we like answered a lot of questions like that. Well, we wanted answers. We wanted to answer at length. Yeah.
All right, Mike. Here's a softball. This is from Allison. So Leah has written a book about her experience with Scientology and escaping it. Do you have any plans to also write a book about your experience?
Oh, do you, Mike?
That's a great idea, Mike. You should get on that.
You should totally get on that, Mike.
Yes.
Do it, Mike.
yes.
Okay.
That's my answer.
A man of many
Everybody-
words.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, guys, we made it a whole hour, and I really appreciate you guys helping me out. I really do. And hopefully we can really make a difference here. And
Yes.
who would have thought? Who would have thought 15 years ago that there would ever even be a chance of two quote unquote suppressive people being on Clearwater's City Council? I mean, it's pretty crazy.
I know. No, it's amazing, and it's you know, it's admirable, and we support you, and we support change. Regardless, we want
And
change.
truth.
Yes, and we want this to stop across America. We don't want our children to continue to be in this organization, and people who are being held against their will, lied to, all of this, taken advantage of. We just want it to end, and we can do that city by city. So, and that's with your support. So thank you. And thank you, Aaron, for doing this and for putting yourself out there. This cannot be pleasant. Dealing with Scientology is not fun. Everybody out there, it's not fun. So that you do it, that you're willing to continue to expose it, says a lot about you. So thank you, and we love you.
Thank you very
And
much.
thanks for all your really kind comments. They're like, I know you can see us all looking over on the side of the screen.
I just wish I can see them.
Like,
If you
Yeah.
click
they're
on,
very nice.
yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
And they
If I
said
click-
they're not, they said specifically to you, Leah,
Mm.
they said they're not upset. And there's 70 people in the chat. You can't answer all 70 questions. And they
Okay.
all are just saying, we love you, we love you, we love you, Mikey, Lily, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, and Leah,
Yeah.
a few people did comment on your beautiful nails.
How about mine? Nobody
No, I can't
commented.
say I saw any comments about that.
All right,
I
so
may have missed
before
it,
I-
Mike.
Before I
Love you,
sign
Claire.
off,
Love you, Mark. Love you, Mikey. Love you, Aaron.
Love you, Lily.
Yeah.
before I sign off on the whole thing, someone asked how much money were we able to raise? We raised about $5,000 from this event for the campaign. That
Wow.
is,
Wow.
Good job.
Bonanza.
that's
Thank you, everyone.
That's a
Yeah,
full
thank you, guys.
postcard. That's a full postcard mailer. We have 6 weeks
Love of
left
one sentence.
until everyone votes, and actually voting starts in just a couple weeks when the mail-in ballots go out. So guys, thank you so much for the support. We still want to keep raising money until March 15th to send out as many mailers as possible. So talk to friends, talk to family, ask them to support the campaign as you have. And anyway, I really appreciate all the support from everyone who's on this event with us and all my friends.
Yeah, elect
When-
Aaron
when is the-
Smith-Levin for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday.
I was just gonna say, when is
Clearwater.
the election? When is the election?
March 15th.
Oh, so just in time for his birthday.
Yes, everyone, L. Ron Hubbard's birthday is March 13th. He was supposed to come back, by the way.
He's like,
Yes, in 2007.
Guys, I'm serious. There's a policy in Scientology that if you die while in the sewer, you are allowed to take a leave of absence for 21 years, which you're supposed to report back. L. Ron Hubbard has not reported back. Maybe it'll be this year, his birthday.
I know. I think we should file a missing persons report on him
Yeah.
Do you
There's
think
still-
do you think they've put out a
with
golden
the
rule, Mike?
LAPD.
Mike,
This is
There's still-
unfounded.
there's-
Unfounded.
They're still laying out his old fuddy-duddy clothes on his bed up at the
No
bed.
joke. No joke. They have
When he was a
houses.
fat
They have
76-year-old.
10,000 square foot homes for this man, taxpayer money. They have homes. They have staff laying out his pajamas every night, putting out his clothes every morning. It's insane.
Yeah,
Like that, like I picked that out to be insane. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. No, people are saying no, they don't. They
What?
100% put his clothes.
Yes!
And when he left, they put them on the bed so that if he shows up, he's got a full set, a full outfit. And I'm talking
know-
full on 1970s flared out collars with cowboy
no,
hats
Mark,
and denim
the-
pants and the whole number.
And
Mark,
jewelry,
wait,
watches,
Hold on.
rings.
Claire, What, Claire?
The exact clothes that you see L. Ron Hubbard wearing in the photographs that they post, those are the same clothes that they lay out on the bed.
So
Those very
everybody,
same outfits.
can I just say,
He's gonna
my-
come back as a big fat guy again.
guys,
He has to,
guys,
yeah.
guys. Okay, so we have said this 10,000 times. It just occurred to me that people think we're fucking around.
It's so serious.
I don't think I have ever exaggerated ever in explaining
No.
Scientology policy.
Even the show, when people come up to me and they say, "Oh my God, I saw the show on Netflix," I say, "I'm glad you liked it." And they're like, I can't believe all that stuff is true." And I say, the stuff that made it onto the
What
show
we've got on the air.
is the stuff that just scratched the surface. That's what
Well,
made
that's-
it through the lawyers and the producers and the editing bay and everything else. That's just the stuff that scratches the surface.
Mike, how many times have we, like, for the legal process, through the vetting process, the aftermath, that they were like, "Hey, question, this seems a little," and we were like, "Oh, let us send you it in writing. Here's the policy. Oh, here's the
Yep.
proof." And they were like, every time, like,
What? Seriously? It's in writing? This is written down? Holy shit.
anyway. Sorry, I cursed everybody.
All right, guys. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure how to officially end it. I'm going to give it my best shot. But
You
thank
say
you, everybody, for joining.
Well, say goodbye, because I'm wearing
push that
sweatpants. I'm wearing
push that red
sweatpants, so I'm not gonna stand up.
Me neither.
Circle.
Me neither. I'm not standing up.
All right, everybody.
I'm
say
not
goodbye.
wearing any pants at all, and I'm a
Disgusting. Like, shut up.
TMI.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, oh, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right